Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Saturday, April 4th, 2015 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and I have Nikki here with me, and today we are going to talk all about the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. Our energy mantra for today is I am balanced. And ultimately, the energy of Aries and Libra coming against each other, Sun in Aries, full moon, lunar eclipse in Libra, is trying to bring balance into ourselves and into our relationships. And I do really feel that balance, it starts within. Everything that happens out there starts within. So this moon, this full moon, is happening at 14 degrees. It is happening at 5:05 a.m. Pacific time. I actually think that like Hawaii and some places in Asia, and I think California, Oregon, I think we'll be able to actually see this eclipse. So I'm kind of excited about that because I love that. And this eclipse, just to mention, I think this is really cool too. If you were alive, around, conscious at all, this eclipse is actually matching us with energy from 1996, April of 1996. So if you're feeling back to 1996, what was going on in your life? This is helping complete a 19-year cycle from then until now. So, you know, what I feel really strongly with this, and I'll get into the Sabian symbols that I feel like kind of balance this, the full moon in Libra, you know, eclipses always bring change in relationships because it's always, you know, opposite the sun, and it's the sun and the moon in relationship, showing you your relationship, your resistance, your opposition within yourself. And I kind of liken this eclipse to being the selfish humanitarian and being able to care for yourself. The Sabian symbol for 14 degrees Aries or 14 degrees Libra, I love so much. And it says, in the heat of the noon hour, a man takes a siesta. And what I feel about that Sabian symbol is listening to your own body system, listening to your needs, and taking what you need, and taking that alone time and space. You know, he's taking this afternoon siesta, giving himself time to unwind, instead of, you know, being out and around and in and involved. And it's so interesting because Libra so is that energy of like, I want to connect, I want to be balanced, I want to be in relationship. Instead, it's just taking this little time alone. And I think this is so important for us, to take that alone time, to take what you need. I know this for myself as being somebody who for most of my life has been like, what do you need? How can I do something for you? And meanwhile, my body's like, make me dinner, make me food, take care of me. And there always is, with that Aries-Libra balance, the I versus the we, the self and the selfishness versus the, you know, I love the world, how can I take care of everybody else? And so, you know, it's time to find that balance in it. And then the Sabian symbol for Aries 14 degrees is a serpent coiling near a man and a woman. And this, to me, is that energy of the Kundalini. And I love that because, to me, the energy of the Kundalini, that's Shakti energy. That's the divine feminine coming up and through you to meet your mind, to meet your third eye, to meet this divine energy, the divine masculine energy that comes down this way. And so it's bringing it together in relationship, in yourself, so that you can show up and be true to you. And finally, like the coolest thing around all of this that I love is that this eclipse is at, or yeah, the full moon lunar eclipse. It's actually going to be happening kind of near, it's 1 degree off what happened, the Pluto-Uranus square. It's 1 degree off of that. So it's still igniting that, which is helping shift society. And so it's tuning into Uranus, and Uranus is like, you gotta be true to you. You gotta, you know, put aside those boxes that maybe other people have handed you, like, hey, you could fit nicely in this box. Put those away and recognize you're able to be one unto yourself. And Lilith, in an inconjunct, so not quite opposite, but almost opposite Uranus, is feeding in there and bringing in that energy of the wild, primal, passionate feminine energy that demands that you be true to your soul. So this energy goes so much into you and your lessons. And I feel like when you do that, you can show up in relationship. If you are hiding from yourself, it's hard to show up in relationship. Nikki?
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting lunar eclipse. Aries is saying, you know, let's be a little self-serving. I always see Aries also as kind of the doer doing the doing. And sometimes we forget what we're doing because we're just doing it in a very passionate and fiery way. Where I think Libra kind of comes in and taps you on the shoulder and says, you know, we have to be in relationship to other people, so you can't just roll over and run over everybody. So where can we find balance in this? But I also see a lot of transformation happening in relationships with other people. I've been getting a lot of people coming in and saying, you know, I broke up with somebody for, I've been in a relationship for 3 years and longer, or they're redefining what relationship is. So this is a really good time to shed light on these things in ourselves that we've been avoiding that has kept us from being in authentic and real relationships. So I did a post on this, and I should probably repost this, where we're out of balance. And Libra rules relationships, so here we are, okay? So there's a big imbalance when we get out of balance in our feminine area, and that's usually when we get needy, where we need a relationship, we need someone to save us, we need this other half to complete or make us happiness, or make happiness for us. But that's giving your power away. I love in the book The Mastery of Love, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about, you know, you're giving your star away, this most precious thing, and you're giving it and you're putting it into someone else's hands. And then they look at it and they think it's beautiful, and then they take their eye off of it for a second and whoosh, it shatters. And you cry and cry and cry and say, you shattered my star. And they say, well, why'd you give it to me if it was so precious to you? So what I mean by this story is we have to keep our happiness in our own hands. So letting some of that neediness be balanced by some of our masculine doer, that Aries kind of energy. But then if you're in that Aries energy only, or in that masculine, it could be narcissistic, right? Oh, I need someone because I'm great and I don't need anybody. And then you shut yourself off of relationships and you become kind of an arrogant jackass. You know, no offense. But, you know what I mean? But it's like, okay, lone wolf, where do you need to soften? Where do you need to find your femininity and receive love? And it's finding this balance in ourselves so we can give it to others. So this is really interesting because this is the card I pulled. And I usually pull live, but I pulled it right before me and Mimi started this. And I thought this was the perfect card, so I didn't stick it back. And it's the compromise card. So in true Libra form, I'm going to say the positive attribute and the negative attribute of compromise. I'll start with the negative because that's what the book talks about, but I see compromise as not necessarily a bad thing either. So the bad thing is we compromise ourselves. And I think a lot of us have been compromising ourselves in relationship with other people. Like Mimi was talking about, I do everything for everyone else and then I'm compromised. And what I need is compromise. But this is my personal lesson. I had to learn the beauty of compromise. That maybe it's not all about me all the freaking time, and that I need to show and give a little more love, and not just ask for everything I need, but ask my partner, you know, what do you need? You've been through a lot this year. What do you need? And when I do that, I feel like I give more to myself because I'm starting to realize when we make each other happy, when we're supporting each other, it's this figure eight type of thing. It's a cyclical thing. Just because I'm giving doesn't mean I'm not receiving too. And just because I'm receiving doesn't mean I'm giving, I'm not giving either. So it's finding this beautiful, delicate balance of where you guys meet in the middle. And where you meet in the middle, and where do you meet in the middle? You meet right in the heart, right? So it's finding this delicate, beautiful weaving with your relationships, with a lover, with people in your life, your friendships, and with yourself. Getting balance of that masculine and feminine, you know, that beautiful balance of that. I also got the transformation card. So this is a really great time to really transform yourself into the person that you want to be in relationship to others. So I just did a video also on soulmates, and check that out. It's really learning how to be taking responsibility for yourself in relationships and what you want. And I'm also doing a free webinar on relationships, which is kind of funny because I didn't realize at the time when I put it together that, you know, all of this is happening, but all in divine timing, right? So on April 20th, I'm doing a free relationship webinar, and then I will be offering a 12-week class around relationships right after that. So you can get a free sample of what it will be like. And then if you like it, then you can do the class with us. And we can really dig into what's holding you back in your relationships, strengthen the relationship you already are in, or really find what you want to pull in this time, so we're not in this kind of unconscious pattern of behavior of pulling in these negative relationships, these draining relationships, or these, you know, abusive relationships, for lack of a better term. So.
Absolutely. And you know, the thing is that relationships are up. Like, they are so up energy-wise. We've been having, this is our third in a series of 4 lunar eclipses happening in Libra. So, you know, and this has been, I can't remember if it's since 2012 or 2013. So we're number 3. We have 1 more. So this is the prime time to dive in and look at relationships and to find your personal balance. And everybody has to find their own thing. What I'm recognizing as my personal balance is just really being true to myself in relationship. I have a lot of Libra in me. So there's like this drive for harmony. My Jupiter's in Libra, and what else is in Libra? My Jupiter, my Saturn is in Libra. So there's this drive for harmony. And that part of me that wants harmony so much is not always true to what I need. So my biggest lesson is being true to myself, because I'm never going to make everybody happy. And although I want that, the Sagittarius Libra in me wants me to make it happy, but even more than that, I have a desire to fully embrace myself and fully embrace my own lessons. And my Lilith is like, my Lilith in Libra is like, hey, lady, come on, it's okay. Sometimes disharmony happens. And something that I've recently realized is that when you're trying so hard to bring harmony out there, a lot of times you're not honoring yourself and you're causing disharmony within yourself, which ultimately is going to be translated out there. Even if you want that harmony so bad that you're willing to do anything, it's not going to happen. If it's in you, it's gonna shift out there. So that, for me personally, is my biggest lesson in finding the balance in this energy.
It's funny because today I was explaining to someone the Justice card in the Tarot. And the Justice card is all Libra energy. Of course it is, right? And in the Justice card, he is holding the sword and he's holding the balance. And how I described it was perfectly this. That sword is a sword of truth, but it's also used to be wielded when needed to be wielded. Going in the battle once in a while is not necessarily a bad thing when you're in balance of justice. If something is unjust in your life, if you're in an abusive relationship, maybe it's time to use that sword and start wielding it in the way that you need to fight or stand up for yourself. If it's in harmony, if fighting may be what's actually in harmony with what you need. I've been seeing a lot of people in my life lately that are learning the gift of standing up for themselves. And this is not about just wielding the sword just to be a pain in the butt and fighting everybody. This is the sword of justice. This is the good fight. This is the good fight for yourself and the good fight for all that is involved. Because maybe someone needs to be battled. When people are attacking the castle, you need to defend it. What are you going to let's just surrender and then everybody's raped and pillaged? You don't want to do that. You have to stick up for your temple, your soul, your truth. So it's that sort of truth. And if it's in alignment and in balance, that might be exactly what you need. But don't be scared to get into the fight a little bit or labeling what you think harmony is. Harmony might just be going into that grand fight and getting what you need, and that's okay.
Right. I also imagining that sword, cutting those connections.
Yes.
That's another thing with, it reminds me of that transformation card, because I think there's a sword in that card. And part of that transformation is sometimes like, that's done. I've learned my lessons. I am severing that.
Mm-hmm. And, learning where you're bleeding that energy and taking your power back. It goes back to that star. Take your star back. Get your power back. Give it to yourself. And yes, other people can heighten your happiness. But if you're not 85, 90% happy on your own, let 10, 20% be icing on the cake. That's cool. Sometimes it's, we have a hard time, somebody can cheer us up. But if you are corely not 80% happy on your own, you're never going to be happy no matter who you have in your life.
Yeah. And back to the astro really quick, the moon will be meeting up with Jupiter. Jupiter is in Leo right now. So the moon's going to be meeting up with Jupiter before this eclipse happens. And one of the things I really like to ask myself, and this helps me figure out, is this really in harmony with me, or is this something that my ego's given me to do, for that idea of harmony? Moon connecting to Jupiter. Jupiter in Leo is tuning us into our heart. So it's saying, is this desire to take action for harmony or whatever, or this desire, to yield the sword, is this out of love? And it might be out of love for you, it might be out of love for another person, but does it come from love? And so I think that connection between those things, and even just asking ourselves that question, can be a great way to find your balance in and among this energy.
Yeah, so I look back at the transformation card. Mm-hmm. There's a sword, a lotus flower, the yin-yang, the balance of the light and the dark, a snake, which is the underworld or the unconscious. We have chains on one hand, and then on top of the crown of the head is a phoenix.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on. So the lotus is the blossom. It's awareness and enlightening yourself, and also becoming of your own, coming to full potential as a lotus does in the sun and the light. The balance of the yin-yang, the sword, cutting what's no longer serving you and standing up for yourself, if you will. Breaking your bonds, the chain, and then bringing up the subconscious with that snake energy, and then
the snake energy, which also ties into the Aries Sabian symbol for 14 degrees, where the sun is during this eclipse. The sun energy, that's going to be, it's the shadow of the sun that covers the moon. So there we go, that transformation and subconscious energy coming forward. Love it. Well, I think I'm finished. Are you complete?
I'm complete.
All right. Well, that is it for today. Thank you for joining us, and have a beautiful eclipse. Namaste.
Namaste.